Hey everyone! So today I'm going to be making a rosemary hydrosol and I'm going to show you the process of this and it's pretty much, the same process for any herb that you want to make a hydrosol out of. I'm just using rosemary because I'm working on a farm at the moment and I was working with rosemary yesterday and I had some leftover things, tops of rosemary that were going to go in the bin or in the compost. So I decided I'd use them to make a hydrosol, and then I'll just let you know that you can use anything else in the place of rosemary in this recipe. So for example, rose petals of the species, the dog rose, so Rosa canina, and also Rosa damascena is the kind of traditional roses used in making rose water, and they have that really highly perfumed, almost like intoxicating rose scent. But you can also use like cultivated roses. You can make this with orange blossoms. You can make this with pretty much any, like lavender would also be amazing. Sage, I've actually got some sage in here. Anything that really smells nice, and all of those plants that I've mentioned are very good cosmetic plants as well. So they've been used for centuries in cosmetics. So like, toning the hair, improving the colour, the texture, the luster of the hair, the skin tone, evening the tone and texture of the skin, tightening the pores. So both rose and rosemary are toners of the skin, so they kind of they have an astringent quality, which will sort of mean that they tighten up the pores and increase the elasticity of the skin. So it's also, anti-aging a little bit, because what we think of as aging is when the skin like loses its elasticity a little bit. Also really, in the case of rosemary, very antiseptic, antifungal, so many benefits. It's really known as a heal-all. It's one of my favourite herbs. I just drink it all the time and take it all the time. But in the form that it will take today as a kind of hydrosol, I'll explain a little bit more what that means in a sec. It's more like I'm intending it for myself as more of a cosmetic use. So it's just to be sprayed on the skin, on the hair, on any also on your eyes, which, traditional eye drops are quite aggressive and they do actually dry out the eyes really badly sometimes. So it's quite nice to have a hydrosol and you just spray it on your closed eyes and the moisture goes straight through the lids into the eyes, and then you have the additional kind of qualities and properties of whatever herb is infused into that water. And yeah, it's also very hydrating because this is all water based. So just spraying this on your skin, on your eyes, and allowing it to dry naturally will kind of create like a nice layer of dew on your skin. So that's what I'm kind of going to use it for. What is a hydrosol? So a hydrosol is basically it's made from distilling the steam of a plant. So mixing the plant itself, here's my rosemary, with water, so like nice filtered water, and then you kind of capture and collect the steam of that together. So you're heating it up with heat, that water is infusing with the plant, all those nice oils and properties are going into the water, and then it's evaporating into the steam, and what we're catching is the steam. So hydrosols are actually kind of a byproduct of the process of making essential oils, because that's how you make an essential oil. But instead of just capturing the steam, you'll capture all the steam, it will condense, and it will be this watery thing, which is the hydrosol. And at the top of that, you'll find this tiny, tiny layer of essential oil, and that's what they pipette off, and that's what goes into those tiny bottles and you can buy as essential oil. But today we're going to use the whole thing, which is the hydrosol, which is still infused with some of the, properties, essential oils. It's just a kind of like light version, an aqueous version of the essential oil. And yeah, different uses. So really simply, what you're going to need is herb. You can use anything, like I said, anything kind of aromatic, like rose petals, sage, lavender. You could even do a mint one, that could be kind of nice, or rosemary in this case. You're going to need a pan big enough to have a little bowl inside it, like this. So I'm using like an earthenware bowl because this won't crack with even high temperature on it. And then you'll need a lid that fits this pan, and you're going to turn it upside down. I'll explain that a little bit later. So that's how it all fits together. And then optional, you can have some ice ready. And apart from that, all you need is the herb and some like filtered, recently boiled water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pour all of this into the bottom of this pan, which unfortunately is a non-stick pan. I'm staying on this farm right now, and this is what they have here, so we will make do. There's actually quite a lot here, so I hopefully can get the water to cover this. So it's already a little bit cut up, but if it wasn't cut up, I would tell you to cut this up now. So I don't know if you can tell, but that is pretty full of rosemary and sage. And I'm just going to pour over this, which is 1.5 litres of recently boiled filtered water. And this is not like it doesn't have to be very specific measurements. These are like old herbal remedies, so you can kind of just do it by eye. Make sure that it is kind of more or less covering the rosemary, and you can kind of push it all down if not. And then really simply, I'm going to make a kind of hole in the herbs in the middle and put my bowl into it, the empty bowl. So you have this like kind of ring. I think it's quite hard for me to show you this. Maybe I'll just take a picture and upload it as well. There's like a ring of the herb in the water, and in the middle is this empty bowl. And the bowl is going to catch the condensation that collects on this upturned lid. I'm going to pop that on there, and it's already steaming up nicely. And then I'm just going to put this on a really low heat on the hob. So I'll be back in a sec. And something that you can do to kind of increase the condensation is to cool down that top lid. And you can do this by just popping some ice on top of the lid. And that just makes the top of the lid cold. So the hot steam coming up from below is condensing, and it's kind of moving down onto that handle and then hopefully dripping down into the bowl. And so there's no real like specific time limit on this. So I would just say, just keep going. Make sure it doesn't dry up. You can always add more water if you do notice that it's getting a little dry in the bottom there. And other than that, just keep an eye on it for maybe an hour or so or two, and just see how much you manage to collect. Hey, so I'm back. I've just been outside for a bit, and I left the distillation going for about probably an hour and a half. I didn't need to add any water, but I did check a couple of times. And I needed to replace the ice on top as well when that melted, because I really noticed a difference when it didn't have the ice. There was a lot less liquid in the bowl, so I think it really does make a difference. It's worth doing that if you can. So what I'm left with, I collected the liquid that was inside the bowl, and this is the actual rosemary essence. And it looks a lot like water. You'll have to take my word for it. It smells really powerfully strong, and There's no actual sort of visible essential oil on top. I don't know if you can tell, I don't want to spill this on my laptop, but it literally just looks like water. But that's now ready to spray on your face or on your eyes or your hair. And you can just transfer that using a funnel. I'm not going to do it with this because this still has things in it, but you just would pop that into the top and then pour the water into it, and then you can even refrigerate it, and that makes it even kind of nicer and more cooling on the skin. The other thing is that I strained off the remaining water that the rosemary was actually sitting in, and that's basically now just a really strong decoction, so that's what that looks like. And I wouldn't throw that away. I'm actually going to use that as a hair rinse, so you can see the difference between the two. One is much more sort of pure, I guess, and this is like just a bit of a soup of everything that was going on in there. So I maybe wouldn't, I could drink it if I wanted to, but I'm going to use it as a hair and scalp rinse, and that's also really nourishing and toning for the scalp, and also improves the appearance of the hair as well. So yeah, I hope that's been really useful for you today, and just let me know if you have any questions. Just pop them in the comments down below, and I will strive to answer them. Also, if you want me to make any other videos that you can think of, I will try and do my best. Alright, bye everyone!